All right. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again on another HITEC Live this Friday. So happy to have you here with us today. Really excited about this session. We're going to be talking to Hector Rodriguez of SAP. He's the executive advisor for the Office of Innovation for SAP America. And also, fun fact, he is a founding member, along with HITEC's executive champion, Luis Colmenares, a founding member of SAP of Venezuela, which is, I'll let him share that story, but it's awesome that they started that out together. And so what we're going to be talking about today is the partnership between SAP and Microsoft, showcasing how they've worked together to accelerate customers' move to the cloud. And fostering that intersection between collaboration among stakeholders and their processes. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So with that, Hector, I'm going to give it away to you. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Again, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know where people is joining from, but again, my name is Hector Rodriguez. And this is my 25th year at SAP. And yes, as Viviana said, I started in SAP Venezuela in Caracas. And we had no office yet, but they started hiring people. And we were, when we finally had a space, it was just, we had like 20 people inside a room and we had to fight for 3 CompuServe lines. So if the 25 years didn't date me, the CompuServe then suddenly did. Right, to then connect to our servers in Philadelphia at our U.S. headquarters to do some work after having what was it, the interviews. In my case, it was at a hotel on a breakfast, and then going around after we founded SAP Venezuela, going around the Latin American countries, opening offices. So going to Colombia for a while, then going to Lima for a while, and again staying in hotels, renting space. Before then, we finally had office and employees. And as Luis was sharing before this call, then we will all be in those offices, and people will come and say, "Well, you have a lot of employees." Yeah, but they're all in Caracas living. They're just here for the week. But that was interesting story. So, yeah. As I said, I've been 25 years at SAP. Before that, I worked in another applications company, also based in Caracas, Venezuela. They're a company probably better known for their database products, and I'm going to leave it at that. So, and today we're going to talk about then this partnership between SAP and Microsoft, right? And what have we been doing, especially in the last 18 years. The way that we were approached about this meeting was, we had an event on January 27th of this year, where we have Satya, the CEO of Microsoft, and we have Christian, the CEO of SAP, jointly present around the acceleration of this partnership. And I guess that was picked up by HITEC. It's good to know that some people read those those press releases that we put out sometimes. And then we were invited. It was like, okay, can you guys come and talk to us a little bit about what that means and what are you doing, and that what that acceleration means. And there was one particular item that was mentioned. It was the Microsoft Teams collaboration and the Microsoft Teams integration to SAP. So we're going to talk in general terms about the partnership, and I'm going to probably emphasize on 2 areas of that partnership that we have with Microsoft. All right. So with that, I'm going to start sharing. And of course, we rehearsed this beforehand, but that never guarantees anything. But let's see. All right. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah. And we see you in the corner.
Oh, excellent. it worked. All right. So first test, it's good. All right. So some of the things I'm going to talk here has to do with work that we are doing together at the 2 companies. So just to keep the lawyers happy, This does not represent any commitment of delivery of anything that I'm saying today. And we might decide not to do any of this or deliver any product based on what I'm going to be talking. But so now that our lawyers are happy, especially since this is being recorded, let's go to the let's talk about the partnership. So this partnership is not necessarily new, right? So we have had over a 25-year partnership. I remember when I joined SAP 25 years ago, we were starting to work on running the SAP ERP applications on the Microsoft databases and the Microsoft operating system, and how we do that, especially because Microsoft became a customer of our products, and then we became a customer of Microsoft products. So there was this very big partnership that has expanded, that we have had for this long time. Now, as I said, we have been working, and it didn't start on January 27. January 27 is when Christian and Satya came together and talk about a lot of these things and what we've been doing. But this is something that we started working about 18 months ago, where we started doing not only a partnership in the sense that we're going to work together, et cetera, but some co-engineering efforts by working together in the development of some of our technologies, right? So, and some of the things that drove this, and this is probably nothing new for the people on this call, but we see that there is a big market momentum on a cloud transition, and this has only been accelerated in the last year. And I have here some statistics from Gartner, for example, that says that 80% of enterprises will no longer use traditional data centers by 2025, and some other statistics. And those are probably known. But if you look at from the SAP customer base, and these are probably not necessarily that known, is that we have released since when was it? 2015. We started releasing our new cloud-based ERP solution we call SAP S/4HANA, and what we found is that 72% of our customers are moving and doing that switch to the cloud. So it's not only that people are moving some maybe non-mission critical transaction operations to the cloud, but if you see what SAP represents for a lot of customers, is that a lot of customers depend on SAP for their operations, right? So a lot of business is done with SAP. If SAP is down for some customers, then they cannot ship product, they cannot take sales orders, they cannot do a lot of things. So we've seen that they're moving these things to the cloud. Now, what both companies realized is that there is a lot of sometimes mixed messages on when you want to move, on how you move to the cloud, what things you need to do first, which areas is there value for the cloud. And we wanted to make sure that at least from SAP and Microsoft point of view, we could come with a united message on how we help our customers do that effectively, right? And I forgot to say at the beginning, but if you have any questions, and I don't know, I see that the chat is coming up, but I cannot monitor the chat, but feel free to stop me at any moment, right? I'm okay with, but I'd rather have questions while I'm presenting that at the end. If you just want to write them on the chat, and then somebody can be monitoring the chat and just stop me, then that also works. So this partner acceleration that, as I said, started 18 months ago, it's based on 3 tenets, right? So we want to simplify the movement to the cloud and the movement of mission critical processes that are supported by SAP applications, right? And provide a consistent approach, a consistent recommendation, one story between the two companies, especially when it comes to our flagship ERP application S/4HANA and the SAP technologies in Microsoft Azure. we see that this move has to be more than just a TCO play or a move to the cloud. And we see that that's one of the pitfalls that has happened, is that sometimes the people see it as a technology move. We see that this has to be, or we believe, both companies, that this needs to be a way to accelerate digital transformation and allow you to innovate. So by leveraging the technologies from both companies, that it's more than just running in the cloud, but there's a lot of innovative technologies from both SAP and Microsoft that you can use to accelerate your digital transformations, and to provide innovation more than just moving to the cloud. And those are some of the things that are those three things. If you want to remember what are the three things that are the tenets for this, is, again, we want to simplify the way that you move to the cloud. We want then to be able to accelerate your digital transformation, so that then you can innovate and be better, right? So what are the five things that the five key areas that in which we are doing this innovation? First of all, is something we call market approved journeys. What are those market approved journeys? As I said, one of the things that we've seen is that when people go through this, they go with, okay, I'm going to save money by moving my data centers. I'm going to save probably in management of the infrastructure. But what we think, as I said a moment ago, is that we need to have more of a business view, or the why we're doing this. What are the things that we want to achieve with this move? So what Microsoft and SAP did is that for 25 distinct industries, so like consumers, consumer products, or automotive, or retail, or high tech, we came and we decided what we call this market approved journeys that provide, these are the key business drivers for these industries and the key things that are doing. So for example, in consumer products, competing as an ecosystem instead of competing alone, it's an important. So think about, for example, companies that they have like a franchise model for butlers. So they do like the syrup or the concentrate, then they sell that to a butler. The butler goes and puts it in a can or on a bottle. Then from there, they sell it to a retailer. But in between, they have a transportation network, with some of the things might be their own transportation network, or can be a contracted transportation network. But we want to optimize all that and move and then innovate so we want to be able to compete as an ecosystem, instead of competing just this beverage company too, the red against the blue, or the blue against the red. Doesn't matter, right? And we want to be able then to innovate on that one, and moving to the cloud and using some of the technologies from the both companies, I think can help our customers provide that competitive advantage. Now, then that's on the market approved journeys. Then engagement and services. So I've decided to do this. What are the steps? How do I do it? What is the plan for me to take after I have decided the sequence? So that's where we have worked, both companies, to define this templates on how to do this, and work with system integrators to have this successful plan to move that. We have defined what we call essential architecture. So those are technical blueprints, or think of them. I'm a certified enterprise architect with SAP, and one of the things we always try to talk about is different architecture patterns. So we have defined those different architecture patterns for, if I want to do machine learning with probably let's say computer vision tied to my processes, so determining if I need to replenish something in a store or not, or things like, for example, getting IoT data from my different equipment on a plant, and then that tying it to my maintenance processes that are managed by the SAP application, and determining when is the best time to do that, and getting all that information from the side. So we have come with this architecture patterns for all those different type of scenarios where you can use in conjunction SAP and non-SAP technology. And then we have work on optimizing the platform. So if you want to run SAP solutions in Azure, then we can guarantee you that you have the levels of services that you need, right? And those four is something that, again, we've been working very heavily in the last 18 months. The new thing from this partnership that was the main reason that, again, Christian and Satya were together, was that, okay, now we have a lot of the technologies and integration patterns built. We have the technologies or combining the technologies. Now let's work in an application level integration of all our things. And the main thing that came to mind was collaborative productivity. So how we can get Microsoft Teams and SAP working together to support some of our business, some of the business processes that the companies have. So, as I said, this is one of the main things that we are expanding our collaboration, which is in this Microsoft Teams integration of SAP solutions. And I don't know about you, but I typically don't remember, or I didn't used to remember, when I traveled in the past, because I was always on a plane. But I can tell you that March 5th March 5th last year was my last flight to meet with a customer, right? So from there on, everything has been remote. I was also talking before the meeting that I was using the SAP office in Atlanta background, where I haven't been since March last year, right? So there has been this remote work going on, and we have a lot of our common customers between Microsoft and SAP using Microsoft Teams for this collaboration. So you're probably doing in a sales situation and collaborating with your customers, Microsoft Teams. But then if you want to then do something in, let's say, in the application, then you have to go from one application to the other. Or you are probably, if you're in the purchasing department and you want to do some collaboration with your suppliers, and you are in Teams and collaborating in some specs for a particular thing that you want to contract to them, and you want them to build to then maybe put in a plant or put as a part of a product that you manufacture, right? So wouldn't it be good that all that collaboration can be driven by Teams, and then the information flows automatically to the applications that support the execution? And the other way around, if you're in the execution system and it says like, well, why do I see the situation with the customer? Why don't I call the customer and maybe do a meeting? And then from there start the Teams, and then that interaction gets tracked automatically in my system. So, and that is that main component that, as I said, we're working on these days based on the work that we've been doing in the other areas to move our ERP applications and some other SAP application components into the Azure infrastructure. And I just noticed sometimes I say Azure, sometimes I say Azure, and I don't know if it's part of Spanglish that I always have, but I'm never sure how to pronounce it. So I'm leaning through Azure. So just forgive me if I do that during the session. All right. So for this collaboration between Microsoft Teams and SAP, what we have done is that we have formed working groups in different areas. The three main areas that we have done them now, or that we have them right now, is in the areas of SAP SuccessFactors. And if you're not aware, SuccessFactors is our human capital management cloud suite of solutions, right? Anything from managing personal administration, personal development, learning, succession planning, etc. Right? So we have a working group on that area to look at the different processes where we can leverage both the processes in the application and the collaboration functions that teams provide. Then the other area, and probably the first one where we started, was on the area of SAP, on customer experience. So we have already some prototypes, and in a little bit, I'm going to show you a video that we've done of that prototype that we built between our SAP Sales Cloud application, which is our cloud-based CRM solution, and how that can be used in conjunction with Microsoft Teams. And then the third working group that we are evaluating, or that we are working on between Microsoft and SAP, is the area of our ERP. So, for example, when it comes to supplier collaboration in the ERP application between SAP S/4HANA and Microsoft Teams. And again, as I said, leveraging some of the work we've done in the past. So, for example, imagine that if you are somebody that is doing a function in Microsoft Teams, for auditing purposes, you want to know in this application who that person was. So knowing things that might seem simple to do, like, for example, that single sign-on between Microsoft Teams and the SAP applications, and having what we call identity propagation. So we know in the SAP application exactly who that is, so that if somebody wants to check who did this, then we can know it in SAP. So that's one example of the things we've done. So I want to pause here. I don't know if anybody has, if there are questions on the chat, or anybody has any questions before. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show a video of this of some of this work. Oh, and another thing I wanted to also say is that we are actively looking for customer participation in terms of giving us ideas of scenarios. So if you have one scenario where you say, SAP and Microsoft, this will be great, a great scenario where we can have some of the SAP processes and Microsoft Teams work together, we are very open to that discussion, and we are actually would like to receive those ideas from you. Besides these three areas that we are, the three working groups that we already have. Okay, if this meeting would have been, let's say, 2 weeks from now, I probably could even share the roadmap of the things that we already have defined as deliverables already, right? So it's not like we're just starting and we have no. It's just that I cannot share those roadmaps today. But again, feel free, if you're an SAP customer, to reach to your SAP representatives. Also, in this at the end of this presentation is going to be my email. So again, feel free to contact. And in the next 2 weeks, we should have a roadmap of specifically what we plan to develop and when from this three working groups. All right. So, Viviana, was there any question in the chat? I know that there was a lot of chat activity at the beginning.
Hey, Hector, I don't see any particular questions, but and I don't know if this is something that you're going to bring up later on, but one question that comes up in my mind is, oh my gosh, and Susie literally is taking the question out of my mouth, because I had the same exact question. If you could give a real life example of the advantage of migrating to S/4HANA, and that's along the lines of my question, was like, do you have user cases or examples that you could share where, like, success stories of where this has worked well? So I think that's along the same lines as what Susie is looking for as well.
So, for example, we have, and I can share it because they have talked about this in public forums. Like, for example, Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola company is migrating all their S/4HANA systems and running them on Azure, right? So that's for example a good scenario. If the question, I assume that the question was that partnership, so SAP and Azure integration. There's we have customers that, and this one I'm not at liberty to say the name of this customer, but for example, there's a beverage company based in Europe that they have not only run the SAP applications in Azure, but also they have integrated, they have used this work that we've done together between Microsoft and SAP to be able to combine some of the Azure technologies when it comes to IoT data and using some of their data lakes, and then combine that in real time without necessarily having to move the data between SAP and Microsoft, and do federation of having data in real time that combines the operations in SAP, and then the information, the IoT that they are managing on the Azure side, right? So those are, for example, two examples I can give of two different things. Also, we have one of the there's also a public story around this. We have another one of our joint customers. It's Kona, which is Kona stands for Coast Point North America. Then they do. They are the IT services company for the 12 biggest bottlers of Coca-Cola in the U.S. And they have one of the biggest SAP analytics installations, and they're running that on Azure, and they're running it very successfully. We have a very big retailer that it's also a very successful Microsoft and Azure customer that is running the SAP applications there. Is the question had more to do with advantages of moving to S4 as a standalone? Then again, that depends on the customer and the industry. One example that I can give is I work very closely with a customer that they are a fashion company. And one of the key things that they were always having issues is that a lot of these fashion companies, they have their own stores, but at the same time, they sell to, let's say, Macy's or Dillard's or Walmart or any or other retailers. And besides having their wholesale channel and they have their own stores, they have an e-commerce channel. So one of the things that we've done with our S/4HANA application is based on this in-memory data platform that allows us to do very, very complex things in real time. And the key advantage for this customer was now being able to see their inventory as a whole pool of inventory, and having the system be able to protect the inventory for the different channels and have the optimal allocation of that inventory so that you can satisfy all those different channels on an industry where you're always short of inventory, right? There's always somebody has to lose, and how to do that effectively. And that was one of the key advantages of the move of SAP to S/4HANA, being able to do that for more traditional applications beforehand. Again, I don't know if that was too long of an answer, but those were some examples that I can give. Does that help?
Thank you, Hector.
All right, trying to look at the chat. All right, let me continue then, and let's go to this video that is going to show a scenario, a sales scenario where we're combining Microsoft Teams and the SAP applications. And let me know if I shared it correctly, if you can hear the audio.
Remote selling has become the new reality for many organizations around the globe. To stay successful, companies need to adapt and look for a competitive edge, as well as business continuity. One key factor for this is to remove barriers for sales teams so they can focus on customer engagements and closing deals instead of admin tasks and record keeping. Therefore, SAP and Microsoft are teaming up to enhance workplace productivity for their customers. To simplify remote selling processes, the companies are launching an embedded in-app integration of SAP Sales Cloud with Microsoft Teams. Let's take a look at how Isabella, a sales associate, takes advantage of this integration in her daily work. Isabella starts her day by signing into her Customer Relationship Management, or CRM system, SAP Sales Cloud. She reviews the upcoming deal opportunities. After she has decided which prospect to contact, she schedules a Microsoft Teams call with them directly through the SAP Sales Cloud dashboard. Isabella has all the contact details at her fingertips, right there in her business application. With all of this information available, she schedules a meeting with her customer with a few clicks. A new entry is added to her upcoming activities, and she can now focus on preparing for the customer meeting. As the appointment is about to start, Isabella joins the Microsoft Teams meeting directly from the SAP Sales Cloud dashboard by clicking on the Microsoft Teams icon in the Upcoming Activities section. She records the call so other colleagues can listen to the recording if needed. During the meeting, she can easily access the customer's records directly through Microsoft Teams to view purchase history, pricing information, interaction history, and other related notes. Isabella has all the latest and most relevant customer information in front of her in real time. Quick and easy, she can now focus on engaging with her customer in this step of the sales process. As always, Isabella takes notes about the customer interaction during the call. She also writes down some follow-up activities. These are added directly in the SAP Sales Cloud solution through Microsoft Teams. As the meeting is progressing very well, Isabella can convert the deal status from a lead into an opportunity. She takes some notes on next steps for her colleague Hector and saves all updates. The new information and notes are captured in real time in the SAP Sales Cloud solution, eliminating the need to transfer them manually and switch between applications. All related call details and the meeting recording are transferred to SAP Sales Cloud and saved in the customer interaction timeline. By putting the information in concrete business context, SAP Sales Cloud simplifies locating and consolidating information. Not only does this save time for Isabella, it also increases transparency and fosters collaboration opportunities with her sales colleagues. For example, her colleague Hector can now listen to the recording and follow up on open questions from the customer meeting. The integration scenario presents users with the ability to interact with customers easily and effectively, always armed with the most up-to-date customer information. Account executives no longer need to switch between applications when interacting with their clients. Real-time and automated data updates ensure transparency, consistency, and present collaboration opportunities for the sales teams. Ultimately, this can lead to increased customer satisfaction through speed, with relevant data instantly available in every customer interaction.
All right. So again, as you were able to see on that video, right? The key thing is that everything was started by using the way that the people work directly on the application, directly in Microsoft Teams, without then having to switch applications, change context, and the business context was always kept. And things that might, as I said, seem easy, like the person didn't have to log into one application to do the other one, knowing who did that in the application, setting the context of what the customer that we were meeting, sending that directly to Teams. All those things then happen behind the scenes. And this is what we mean about this application level integration between Microsoft Teams and the SAP applications that we're doing, as I said in the previous slide, in those initially on these 3 work streams, on the areas of human capital management, in the areas of ERP, and in the area of remote selling. Remote selling has been very important and has been asked by a lot of customers, especially in the current environment where we, at least if I could speak for myself, all my work in the last year has been always through this medium of remote selling. All right, and so as I said, the emphasis of the session was more on the Teams integration, but again, this is not possible if you don't have then this integration at the technology platform level between the two between the two technologies, and also without helping our customers to accelerate their migration to the cloud, and then being able to innovate with this technology. So this is a little bit of an eye chart, and the idea of this is to present where are the services that we are working together, and that then combined provide the foundation for that application to application integration. So integration at the workflow level, the business rules, the platform services of Azure, like for example, the Active Directory, and the and some of the other services of Microsoft, to then have that tight integration between the technologies, optimize connectivity with every part of, or the components of the solution, all running in the Azure infrastructure, like the SAP applications, our technology platform components, combined with the platform services of Microsoft and applications like Teams. Okay. So with that, I come back to the first slide, where I talked about like the three big tenets of this is simplify the move to the cloud for our joint customers, allowing them to accelerate their digital initiatives and their digital transformation, allowing them to innovate and work better collaboratively by not only the integration of the technologies, but also integrations at the application level, as you've seen with Teams. And this has been very unique in the way that we have worked together in the last 18 months to make this happen, to make this co-engineering work between the two companies, with developers from both companies in both of our development campus, or in development campus from our both companies. We both companies have more than one development center, but having that sharing of ideas, sharing of IP, co-engineering together and working this, and we believe that this is that this provides great value to our customers, to our joint customers. All right. So that was the material I had prepared for you today. Hopefully, this was informative and gives you an idea of the strength of this partnership and some of the things that we work together. And as I said, there's also an invitation to provide ideas to both companies on how we can have even more scenarios to work together and collaborate. I don't know if we want to open for more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Hector. So we have a question in the chat. Are there any concerns about data security? And if so, how do you address those?
Yeah, so this is something that we worked both companies together very actively, right? So if you look at the security, it starts with some of the things that Microsoft manages very well on their Azure infrastructure when it comes to penetration testing and those things. Then you go down the stack, and then we start with authentication services, and there's where we then work together in the integration with the Microsoft the Azure Active Directory components and the SAP authentications to make sure that only authenticated people can get to the application. Then we have our SAP's robust authorization technologies. We also have integrations with with ways of managing encryption keys and make sure that we encrypt the data on the SAP applications, and that those encryption keys are managed by the customer and not managed either by SAP or by Microsoft. So that ensures that neither SAP nor Microsoft can see the data that is encrypted in your system. So there's multiple levels of and something came to mind. I just the movie Shrek came to mind when he said that ogres are like onions, and then you peel but the security, we have all these different levels that all together then provide that security infrastructure. So I think that and one of the things that you take advantage when you use the power of let's say of this combination of SAP and Microsoft is that we can invest in a lot of security functions that sometimes it's hard for a particular company to invest in all those measures, because we do this for thousands of customers, and we can then spread the cost of all those security measures across all of them, right?
Thank you. Okay, we have the next question is from Benny. Are you looking to build journeys for additional industries? And if so, which ones are coming up next?
Right now we have 25 industries. I can provide the listing maybe if we have an email. I don't know the 25 top of my head, but again, it's consumer, retail, high tech, oil and gas, insurance, banking. Did I mention high tech already? I don't know.
Yep.
Media.
If you have a list and you'd like to share it, I'm more than happy to share it with the folks.
Yeah, I'll share the list of the 25 industries, but at the moment I don't know if we have plans for those, but those cover a big swath of the SAP customers.
Awesome.
There was something else in the chat.
Yep, from Lou Hidalgo. Can this integration be built on another cloud platform other than Azure?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So so SAP applications can also be deployed, and we have certified other cloud platforms than Azure, right? The difference that we have done is that this level of partnership of co-engineering between the two companies, it's unique in that space, right? That doesn't mean that they cannot be built. Again, you can integrate SAP applications with anything, right? It's we have ways of providing that. So short answer, can it be built? Yes. What we're trying to do with the Microsoft Azure partnership is more than you build it, is that we take care of it. So we build the integration plumbing, we build the integration scenarios. Then you as a customer or as a company concentrate more into why you're doing this. What are the business objectives you want to achieve? Is it a new business model? Is it just doing things cheaper than you were doing it before, which is also valid? And we take care of this technology things, right? But yes, it could be built with other ones, and we also have let's call it run certifications for the other cloud service providers. Sometimes they're referred as hyperscalers, or at least we tend to call them hyperscalers at SAP.
You. Let's see. Next question from Matthew Ramirez. Does SAP plan to utilize IT distribution to roll out into channel sales?
I don't. If you can expand on the question, so.
Matthew, if you're on, feel free to jump in.
Okay. Yeah. Just hi everyone. Just to see that some companies are migrating to like a cloud distribution model. To make sure that they're in channel sales, such as some of the high-level resellers. SAP hasn't had that kind of that kind of rollout into the channel yet, or into distributors. Do you see it going to that format and utilizing the channel sales resellers such as CDW to try to implement your type of software, or is it too robust?
So we do have reseller channels, maybe not at the level of CDW or a Tech Data or something like that, but we do have resellers that sell some of our technologies and applications. Typically, we have some level of let's say segregation of the market. So if you're talking about like small and mid-market companies where we need to have, let's say, more reach that what can SAP directly can do, then we do that through reseller channel, right? Today. So that is something we do today. Then when we talk about like the larger enterprises, then we do directly. And specifically in my case, I'm in the what we call that Office of Innovation as executive advisory. So I'm typically more involved with the what we call our strategic customer program. That it's like the top companies in the US personally. But yes, we do have that distribution channel of companies that resell SAP applications.
Okay, thank you.
We also have OEM channels where you probably don't see that our technology is being used, but somebody else is selling it underneath their solution, right? So that is also another one, and maybe an opportunity. Additionally, we have something that we call SAP.io, where we have that's like a we do found or invest in companies that we see that they have something very innovative and that we want to have that done outside of the and foster their innovation, and SAP can help them. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see. Oh, we have another one from Benny. Benny, you know you can chime in. Come on now. So a question from Benny, are there particular use cases that the Office of Innovation is looking for inputs from clients or industry experts?
Absolutely. Feel free to contact me, and we can look at, like, for example, I can put you in contact with people in your particular industry where we have forums where those can be. We also have, and I don't know if Luis that's on the call knows, but we also have like an idea portal where even customers can go and submit their ideas directly. But if you have some ideas in particular, the ones I talked today is like this Teams and Microsoft Teams integration with SAP applications. If you have some ideas, please send them to me. If in other areas, like for example, industry related, or let's say or business process related, yes, we're always looking for those ideas in our customers, and not necessarily develop from the inside and then see if something sticks in our customer base.
Hi, this is Luis. Depends on your relationship with customers and SAP. There are several venues where you can chip in ideas to us. If you're enterprise support, there's some customer councils that you can contact for innovative ideas where you can work in conjunction with SAP in things like this one.
Okay, thanks, Hector. Thanks, Luis.
Thank you. Any other questions out there? We have a few more minutes, so chime in. No? Well, I appreciate everybody's time. I think it's always wonderful to see, first of all, HITEC partners collaborating. So always nice to highlight that and showcase that, and hope we can see more of these types of partnerships and collaborations. As Hector mentioned, if anybody has additional questions or particular questions that you want to throw out to him directly, we can always provide his contact info and make those connections as well. Hector, any final thoughts before we get into our networking break?
No. Again, thank you to HITEC for the opportunity to share this partnership, and also for, first of all, reading our press release. So then again, getting interested in this, and again, it's thanks for your time. And
no, thank you and Luis for sharing this information and these insights with the community. It was wonderful having you on. So thank you for the time and for sharing the information. So thank you. And thank you to everybody else that's been on this call. Again, always a pleasure to have you with us on your Friday afternoons. As always, we always stick around for a few minutes if folks want to continue networking and chit-chatting, whether it's on this same topic or if we just want to network unofficially with what's going on with the rest of our lives. So feel free to stick around. But again, Hector, mil gracias for
de nada.
today. Beautiful.